The heroes have finally had enough and are taking the fight to the Monster Association's HQ. But will they survive the encounter? Will the power of all the S-Class heroes combined be enough to defeat Monster King Orochi? Or will Saitama punch a hole through Orochi's balls and save the world by accident? Again. This is One Punch Man, and today we're gonna recap the third season of the misadventures of the Cape Baldy and his cyborg glazer fanboy. So after Saitama and the gang defeated Elder Centipede, the Hero Association set up a meeting and started discussing Garou's classification as a monster, declaring him a dragon-level threat. And while they're busy talking about these Avenger-level problems, one of the association's biggest sponsors, Narinki, starts crashing out and demanding that they rescue his Nepo baby, Waganma, ASAP. But this slick, handsome lad, Sekingar, assures him that they'll do everything to save his son. Yet Narinki ain't got time to wait around, so he sends his own private team to rescue Waganma himself. But these mercenaries get easily beaten and captured by G5. Gyoro then orders Does to use her whip to enslave them. You know, if there's a whip, there's a way.
Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Later, Sekingar meets with Super Alloy Darkshine, Pig God, Tatsumaki, and Drive Knight, who was supposed to be there, but Bro's got balls of steel and decides to investigate the Monster Association base on his own. Since no one's heard of him, they just assume Bro's already been defeated. And so they've been overworking a 10-year-old to track down where exactly the Monster Association's base is. Lil Bro even tries again to convince Metal Knight to join the mission, but Bofoy refuses after getting his ass whooped by the Monster King Orochi. He even warns Child Emperor not to trust anyone. Anyway, other heroes start showing up for the rescue operation, like Atomic Samurai and his disciples, and even Sweet Mask, who immediately starts beefing with Kamikaze. At the same time, Puri Puri Prisoner breaks out of Smelly Lid Prison and heads toward Ace City, ready to get his revenge on that monster cat furry that messed up his prison. Meanwhile, Zombie Man is aura farming somewhere in an abandoned town, and Bro is searching for something. Now cut to our lovey-dovey Miss Fubuki. She tries to talk to Saitama, but gets totally baffled when she sees his apartment packed with S-Class heroes. She briefs them on the association's plan, about Garou and the Monster Association thingy. But since most of them are still banged up, and King's got some business to attend to, nobody's really up for it. Saitama eventually gets pissed because he thinks Garou's been ignoring him just because he's a bottom tier hero. So Bro heads out, hunt Garou down, and grabs some more cabbage. But the funny thing is, Saitama already beat Garou up a few times without even realizing it. And speaking of the hero hunter, Garou wakes up and finds himself inside the Monster Association HQ. Soon after, Garou is summoned before Orochi, who commands him to prove his loyalty by killing any hero and bringing back their head within a day. And to make sure Garou doesn't chicken out, Gyoro assigns Bug God and Royal Ripper to keep an eye on him. So as Garou was walking around town, Bra saw a group of stupid extremists who support the monsters, and they even tried to kidnap a civilian who opposed their beliefs. But Garou just flicked his finger and stopped these schizos. Bro then casually heads to a nearby restaurant and orders everything on the menu. And look who it is. Saitama's eating there too, but he forgot his wallet and started fumbling. But thank the anime gods. Fubuki just spawned and started yapping about how she'll help him. But Bro ain't listening and already has this crazy plan so that Fubuki can pay the bill. And Bro takes his chance when someone shouts that a customer just ditched without paying. So Saitama rushes out of the restaurant to catch the culprit, even though Bro's technically doing the same thing. Not long after, Garou scares off a group of kids who are bullying Tadeo, and so Lil Bro thanks him for stepping in. which only pisses Garou off because he doesn't see himself as a hero. Then Saitama catches up and lets Garou off with nothing more than a warning, which only makes him angrier. Bro doesn't care if our MC's a small-time hero, so he aims to kill him, but of course gets instantly yeeted by Saitama. When Garou eventually wakes up, he asks Tadeo who that hero was. Before he gets an answer, Bug God and Royal Ripper shows up, disappointed. When Ripper orders Garou to kill Tadeo to prove himself, Garou, of course, refuses. He tells Tadeo to run and scolds him to toughen up. So Bro starts fighting the two monsters. Back at the Monster Association base, Gyoro meditates as Phoenix Man questions why she sent two unstable monsters after Garou. Double G explains that Garou needs to be pushed to his limits to evolve, just like Lord Orochi. She believes Garou could follow the same path and notes that Bug God will keep Royal Ripper in check, though she doesn't mind finding another subject if Garou dies. And Garou had a hard time fighting the two monsters. While all that was happening, Zombie Man finally found what Bro was looking for: Dr. Genos, the scientist behind the old house of evolution. He's the same guy who made Zombie Man a test subject back then, and Bro wants to know why the doctor quit making monsters and started selling takoyaki. Genos admits that his entire life's research fell apart after meeting Saitama, a man who completely shattered the limits of human strength. Well, to be direct, he didn't actually say Saitama's name, but Genos explains that every human being has a limiter, something that keeps them from turning into mindless monsters, a boundary only Saitama managed to break. Though Zombie Man didn't look like he agreed at first, Genos promised he'd see it for himself soon, especially since Saitama's also a hero. Back at the fight, Garou's really struggling against the two monsters, and things get worse when another monster captures Tadeo. Bro gets distracted, and as he lets his guard down, Royal Ripper slashes his back, then keeps slashing over and over, only stopping when Bug God intervenes. Then, the monsters take the kid and leave Garou bloodied on the ground. At Saitama's place, Genos, King, Bang, and Bomb wait nervously for him to come back. When he finally shows up, looking rough, they assume he just fought Garou, but Saitama denies it. Bro has no idea he already whooped Garou's ass again. Yet Saitama had a bigger problem. He forgot his cabbage. Thankfully, Fubuki spawns in with a cabbage and starts scolding Saitama for making her pay for his food. Genos suddenly senses something approaching and sends King to handle it, but it turns out to be Dr. Kuseno showing up in a mech suit to check on Genos. Kuseno greets Saitama, gives him some premium beef, and just like that, they're besties. Meanwhile, inside the Monster Association, Royal Ripper and Bug God report Garou's death to Gyoro. Across the base, more monsters start gearing up for the incoming battle, while prisoners Tadeo and Waganma are locked in the same cell. Waganma starts bragging that the heroes will come save them, since he's basically a Nepo baby. But then, Hedro Jellyfish spawns out of nowhere and tells them no one's coming, because every hero's gonna die, even the S-class ones. Then Garou finally wakes up, ready to take his revenge and save Tadeo. Back at the Hero Association, Child Emperor tells Second Guard that he doesn't trust two heroes. Genos because he's new and kinda sus for living in an area close to the Monster Association, and Silverfang for letting Garou slip away. So Little Bro wants them removed from the rescue mission. Second Guard does just that, but Minister Officer Sitch strongly objects to the decision. Meanwhile, at Saitama's apartment, the group gathers around a bubbling hotpot and starts fighting over it, to the point that King gets knocked out. When he wakes up, the hotpot is gone, Everyone is left, and Saitama just wants him out. Before King leaves the apartment, though, Saitama asks him to take out the trash. He does, but when King gets home, he finds Hero Association agents waiting for him. They all think Bro's been fighting monsters all night because of the hot pot stains all over his clothes. The association is now gathering all available heroes to finally launch their operation. Back to our boy Garou, Bro finally breaks into the facility, takes out a bunch of monsters along the way, and arrives just in time to save Tareo from the Royal Ripper. After ripping the Royal Ripper a new one, he decides to use the clothes and bandages to make a tourniquet to keep his innards in, which also doubles as a questionable fashion statement. Garou goes back to tsundere mode, basically telling Tario that he wasn't there to save him, and if he wanted to tag along, he just has to keep his mouth shut. The scared and snot-covered little boy tries to keep up, begging Garou to save the other kid who was there as well, until they encounter the six-eyed black dog from hell. Garou and the kid slowly back out of the situation they were in, trying not to provoke it. They don't get very far, as another group of monsters stop them. A talking showerhead, a horny monster covered with eyes, and Master Splinter's buff cousin from Florida. They attack Garou, because violence is always the answer, according to the Monster Handbook of Monsters. And he manages to kick the horny monster, who claims he has the world's hardest horn, into a dark corner of the hallway, right into the mouth of the dog monster, who we find out is actually named Pochi. It blasts everyone back to the Dark Ages with a massive ball of energy, but Garou and the kid escape within an inch of their lives. Ya boy activates tsundere mode again and convinces Tareo to escape on his own. Kid runs away with a combo of snot and tears. Garou decides to fight Pochi, only to get energy blasted in the face and falling deeper into the Monster Association lair. And while all of this is happening, Baldi continues reading manga in his home and comments on the massive earthquake happening in the city. Garou wakes up buried in rubble and realizes he's landed in Gyoro's apartment unit. The butt-naked, single-eyed weirdo welcomes Garou with a warm embrace of telekinesis and decides to do a Disney villain monologue. Bro explains that he's been experimenting with different methods to create monsters that surpass their own potential, and eventually landed on the most effective way, making them experience a personal hell to the point of death. Only the subjects who constantly survive this death unlock their growth potential, and the first one to do this was Monster King Orochi. Gyoro then makes his trade offer to Garou. I receive your body as my new experiment subject. You receive endless torture and possibly death. Huh? Seems like a fair trade to me. But Garou says no thanks to the offer and breaks out of Gyoro's telekinesis, wanting to save his energy for the Hero Association's approaching strike team. Gyoro decides to call on his bodyguard, Monster King Orochi himself. Garou, after being initially crushed by Orochi, physically recovers and goes on a showdown against the Monster King. But he was no match for Orochi's constantly mutating form, and he ends up being Yamcha'd into the wall. Meanwhile, back up top, our Lord and Savior Saitama has finally had enough of the earthquakes and suited up to check out what's going on, but not before finishing the manga he was reading, because, hashtag priorities. Back in the Hero Association HQ, the S-Class heroes are getting briefed. Child Emperor uses his satellite and finds out there are still about 500 monsters left inside the Monster Association hideout, including confirmed demon-level threats and some dragon-level ones. The S-Class heroes themselves have only properly faced a few high-end monsters so far, like Goketsu and Sentikoro,
so there are still a lot of unknowns for them. Meanwhile, the Monster Association knows exactly what they're dealing with, because information about the S-Class heroes and the Hero Association is public, so the heroes are walking in half blind while the monsters have the whole stat sheet. They also mention that Drive Knight is missing again. The heroes assume he may have already been turned to scrap by the Monster Association. In any case, the S-Class heroes are still very much acting like solo queue players forced into a ranked team, technically on the same side, but not a cohesive unit at all. Tatsumaki wants to handle everything by herself. Flashy Flash has the same nah, I'd win energy. Child Emperor and Zombie Man are among the few actually trying to stick to a plan and turn this into a coordinated rescue for Waganma, the kidnapped kid who started this whole mess. Then, Amai Mask walks into the meeting and ruins the vibe even more. Everyone clearly dislikes him, but he still tries to insert himself into the strike team going underground. Child Emperor, who is basically acting as the mission leader, wants Amai Mask to stay on the surface instead with the other A-class heroes who will be supporting the operation from above. Zombie Man tells Amai Mask to calm down and focus on saving the kid instead of chasing fame and glory. Amai Mask fires back by questioning Zombie Man's nature, pointing out that he is immortal and hinting that Zombie Man might actually be closer to a monster than a regular human. Then King shows up out of the blue, and the whole room suddenly changes energy. All these heroes who refuse to respect each other instantly act different around him. Even Tatsumaki acknowledges him. Bro aura farms so hard, his presence alone is treated like a massive power spike, and everyone behaves like good little children. Meanwhile, in another section of the HQ, Second Gar and Sitch introduce the support team. Since most of the monsters underground are demon or dragon level, the S-Class heroes will be the ones actually storming the base, but they still need people on the surface and extra backup. That is where the top A-Class and B-Class heroes come in, including new faces like Captain Mizuki. Then Sitch is informed that Bang and Bomb are here in the base, which kinda complicate things. Apparently, Bang and Bomb have been excluded from the official strike team because Child Emperor is suspicious of them. Bang is suspicious because he failed to finish off Garou when he had the chance. From the association's point of view, it looks like he may be compromised or holding back because of personal feelings. They even bring up the possibility that he might have let Garou go on purpose. After Sitch leaves promising a new replacement for Bang's lost phone, the brothers bump into King, who was trying to hide from joining the operation. Together, they make plans to form a B squad that, with Saitama's help, will operate separately from the main S-Class raid group. While all that is happening, Fubuki heads back to Saitama's apartment. On the way there, she runs into Genos, now in his new, upgraded form. A short flashback to Dr. Kuseno explaining that this is Genos' strongest body so far, but also his riskiest. The upgrade is unstable, and he can only use his full power for 10 seconds. If he goes plus ultra for more than that, his core will explode and he goes bye-bye forever. Everyone regrouped at Saitama's apartment. King, Fubuki, Bang, Bomb, and Genos. They show up looking for Saitama, who we now know is exploring the Monster Association hideout like he's taking a stroll in the park. Eventually, the group decides that King, Fubuki, Bang, and Bomb will go down into the Monster Association to act as a separate infiltration team. Genos stays behind to wait for Saitama and brief him once he returns, which is ridiculous because doesn't Saitama have a phone that he can call or something? And as Saitama casually walks through the sewer system, the other S-rank heroes arrive. They are met with a welcoming party of monsters and a dirty old rag that suddenly spawns a powerful looking hooded guy with gross arms. Turns out, Hoodie Guy's arms are covered in eyes. eyes from other monsters that were eliminated in the past. Gyoro implanted those, allowing him to use their grudges as a power source and making him stronger. Bro then tried to crush everyone with massive buildings, but Tornado Tatsumaki went meh and blocked the attack. Well, most of it. The other heroes still got rained on by some of the debris, because Tornado doesn't give a flying about nuisances who can't get on her level. She confronts a hoodie guy in the air in a battle of psychic abilities that we don't see animated because of budget cuts. Meanwhile, the cannon fodder begins attacking the B-listers below. For the most part, the heroes succeed with a combination of flashy and cringy moves that could only come from side characters getting their 15 seconds of fame. On My Mask still tries to aura farm, even though he's not really part of the S-class heroes. There's even an Olympic athlete who made sporting events of the monsters. Like, what the hell is even happening right now? Not gonna lie though, she makes for a sick thumbnail. In any case, after the first wave, more monsters arrive, and this time, the one leading the pack is Rhino Wrestler, a demon-level monster who withstands every attack from the Class A heroes due to his solid horn. Yup, this guy is rock hard horny, in the literal sense. Pitying this sorry excuse of a fight, Atomic Samurai went,
I'll do it myself.
and turned Rocksteady's knockoff into minced meat. Bro still had time to do a flashback though, before he exploded. But, who cares about the monster's backstories even? Meanwhile, what happened to Hoodie Guy? Well, he got turned into a garbage bag and disposed into who knows where by Tatsumaki. Gyoro's surveillance system was taken out by Child Emperor, while everyone continued the cleanup. Several of the monsters escaped, ran home crying to Gyoro about how life is unfair and how they still want to live. So, he rewards them for their cowardice by feeding them to Monster King Orochi. Hey, at least they served their purpose one last time, right? Now that the fighting on the surface is done, the S-class heroes start moving in, going down and, in Pig God's case, squeezing through the tunnels. As the Class A's sit on the surface waiting for news, Gyoro prepares for the defense of their home turf. And throughout all of this, we still have no idea where the caped Baldy has gone. Where, oh, where could you be, Saitama Sensei? Deep in the Monster Association HQ, we get a glimpse at how the S-Class heroes are taking their sweet time frolicking in the tunnels, the first of which is Flashy Flash. A group of monsters confront him, and Bro just disses them back with a katana to the face. Flashy then eventually ends up in another hallway, where two humans await him. Before even getting to introduce themselves, Flashy Flash cuts through the BS with a sudden strike. What follows is a ninja fight so flashy, it's probably where all the budget of the entire season ended up. The two ninjas lure Flashy into a bigger cavern, and they finally introduce themselves as Tempest Wind and Hellfire Flame from the Golden 37. Context for those who haven't read the manga, these guys apparently came from the same ninja village where Flashy Flash trained, and they're from the 37th graduating class. These two revealed that they ate monster cells and have grown several times stronger. Flashy read through their bluff though, and pointed out that the reason they took him into a more spacious arena was because they actually couldn't fully control their speed and power yet. The monsterized ninjas tried to finish off our boy with their 1-2 combo, but after a succession of flashy kicks and his absolute technique, Flashy Slash, Tempest Wind and Hellfire Flame ended up like broken pieces of Kit Kat lying on the floor. The cavern collapses, the idiots fall into the abyss, and our aura-farming hero realizes he's lost. He also discovers that his transmitter has fallen into who knows where during the fight. Meanwhile, Child Emperor ends up finding Drive Knight's cyborg body, or what's left of it. He taps into it and boom, he discovers that Drive Knight already had a lock on Waganma's location. Bro just didn't share it with the other S-Class heroes. Pissed off at his selfishness, Child Emperor decides to find Waganma and do the rescuing himself. As he heads out, he's confronted by Phoenix Man. Remember that guy? The colorful birdman who saved Garou at the end of season 2? Yeah, he tries to stop Child Emperor, going into a villain monologue about how he'll eventually take the Monster King title from Orochi. Bro ends up getting carved like Thanksgiving turkey instead. Moving on from that, Child Emperor poisons the monsters guarding the hostage's cell, but not before sending over a frog-like device that acted as a gas mask for Waganma. One monster escapes and attempts to stop them, but Child Emperor pumps him full of fuel and sets him on fire. Eventually, they come across a samurai-looking robot who isn't faced by Child Emperor's random bullshit go technique, so he releases a bunch of robo-dogs, assembles them Voltron style into a massive Mecha Cerberus, and sticks it on the robot samurai. Then bro just F's off entirely from that situation, dragging Waganma by the collar and escaping in the opposite direction. As the two boys escape, Waganma asks Child Emperor why he didn't fight against that robot samurai, since he's an S-class hero. Emperor reiterates that rescuing him is his mission, so running away is the best option in that situation. On the way to the surface, they come across the body of Phoenix Man. Again, Child Emperor assures Waganma that the guy's dead, but Curly remembers the character, Donkenbird, from an old children's show and recalls how the guy always dies and gets resurrected in the next episode like nothing happened. You all see where we're going with this next, right? Phoenix Man, as if on cue, resurrects in a blinding golden shower. Shower of golden light. Bro's got a cooler version of his costume, and you can now see his real face this time. Child Emperor brings out more of his toys and confronts resurrected Phoenix Man, but Bro just destroys them all. So Child Emperor is forced to bring out his secret weapon, a mobile Gundam suit. Well, his version of it, at least. Both get locked into a fight, but Phoenix Man just absorbs Brave Giant's attacks as he continues evolving. Meanwhile, Child Emperor is fighting with a hand tied behind his back because he still has to protect the useless hostage cowering under his umbrella shield. Oh, and did I forget to tell you? Phoenix Man's powers can also resurrect the dead. Damn! Child Emperor had to fight a zombie horde a la Walking Dead while the Golden Chicken attempts to kidnap Waganma. Again. With his cards running out, Child Emperor spends all of Brave Giant's energy into unleashing a massive beam attack, blasting a hole to the surface in an attempt to finish off his enemy. Golden Chicken Man attempts to absorb the attack, and he survives, but ends up looking like charred turkey at the end of it. Bro finally has had enough and tries to finish off a helpless Child Emperor, but the kid has one more trick up his sleeve. Well, actually, it's up inside Phoenix Man's costume. The Tickle Bug number 1, which tickles its victim until he suffocates and dies. Going crazy from all the tickling, Phoenix Man tries to rip off his costume and realizes his mistake. Child Emperor gets to work and helps him rip off his entire costume, but not before turning him into a eunuch first, with a chainsaw attack to the balls. Finally, Child Emperor defeats Charred Turkey Man, leaving his naked, lifeless body on the ground. Kid radios in for backup and continues on his mission to bring Waganma to the surface. He even asks Curly Tops if there were other people that needs to be rescued in the area. But the mofo just lies through his teeth and says no, despite remembering that Tario was still in there somewhere. Meanwhile, because of Phoenix Man's powers, the two ninjas, Tempest Wind and Hellfire Flame, get revived. Realizing that Flashy Flash killed them, they quickly run through the corridors and try to find Flashy, who at this moment is still currently lost somewhere in the maze. They happen upon Saitama, who was complaining about it raining sewer water in the tunnels. The two try to attack him, but Saitama being Saitama, he dodges all of their attacks. Tweedledee and Tweedledum could not believe it, but instead of confronting Saitama, they just decide to remember his face, before vanishing off to pursue revenge on Flashy instead. Seems like Speedo Sound Sonics got competition in the Get Revenge on Saitama list.